The Falmouth Commodores able to get back in the win column tonight with a victory here at McKean Park by a final of 13-7 over the Hyannis Harborhawks in the team's final meeting of the season. And we welcome you into another edition of Closing the Door. David Dore here alongside with Matt Levine. Matt, tonight's game had a lot of implications with it, but none other than the playoff race. And that's where we're going to start off with tonight's game because Cotuit, big winners today over Wareham. Falmouth needed a win to stay on pace with these Kettleers, and these two teams are going to have meetings coming up that are going to define the rest of the summer.
Well, you look ahead, and it started with tonight, but if you look ahead, 2 against Cotuit, back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday, and then back-to-back against the Wareham Gatemen. So you're playing the teams that are right there with you, and those games are so important, but also taking care of a team that really has struggled all season, a team that's been eliminated in the Harborhawks for the last couple of days now. So you beat them in 2 games ago. You had the off day in between that, obviously, but you come back here now 3-0 on this field, which has to feel pretty good, facing off against Hyannis, who was 2-0 at one point at the Gov. It's such crazy the way that Hyannis has played against Falmouth all season, but tonight, just the offense right away. 4-0 after the first inning, and once you win the first inning, the momentum the rest of the way is just crucial. But tonight it was getting guys on in almost every inning, and it was a lot of them. They brought up 8 guys to the plate once, 9 guys to the plate once. They never batted around, but just getting guys all throughout the game on base. And I think every starter reached base tonight. A lot of guys scored 13 runs on 13 hits. And it was the pitching staff for Hyannis also giving free passes. We saw in the first inning a couple hit batsmen off the pitcher for Hyannis, and then Chris Armstrong gives a 3-run homer over the fence in right. So they really capitalized when they were given the opportunity tonight. And if they carry that into the next 4 games, it's going to be an even better race for the playoffs.
So there's four games coming up that are going to really define the Commodore season. 5 total games left in the regular season. The next 2 against the Kettleers, the 2 after that against the Gatemen, and then one final one against the Braves. But sticking with tonight's matchup now, you talk about the offense for this Falmouth team, and we've done so many of these closing the doors now. We've talked about the pitching, the offense, the defense, really anything you can think of. We've talked about here on Closing the Door. Tonight, the offense is what gets it done for this team. There's been times we sat here and have said it's the pitching, but tonight, the offense gets it done in a 13-7 win.
Well, Wesley Sweat started on the mound. It was okay for him. He went 3 1/3, passed it off to Paul Peru, who was okay in his debut. Danny Garcia went 4 innings out of the back end of the bullpen. That's the longest we've seen him go, and he was pretty good as well. None of them were great, all decent, and they did enough to give the Commodores a win, and that's because their offense backed it up. Usually when the Falmouth Commodores have given up 7 runs, they lose because that offense goes quiet, and we've seen that several times this summer. But tonight, you gave up 7 runs, and it doesn't matter because you put up 13 with the bats. Anthony Hall blasted a homer. That was an absolute nuke from his bat. He's staying hot at the plate. Michael Curiali, another multi-hit game, starting to get hot. Different guys contributing than what we've seen over the last few days. And guess what? We haven't mentioned Braden Taylor's name over the last 10 days, it seems like. So he's coming back tomorrow to DH, and the day after that, hopefully be in the field. To add his bat right back in there in the 2 or 3 spot, it's just going to be a lot more dangerous for this team going forward.
Yeah, so a lot of offensive firepower tonight and potentially going forward for this team. But now things really start to ratchet up, and these next few games for Falmouth are going to be as big as they come for this team. We've talked about how this team can be streaky at times, and we've seen them go from a win streak to a lose streak, back to a win streak, and be very up and down. They're kind of right now in a little bit of an ebb and flow where they're winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one. But we'll see how this carries over into these coming games. But for Falmouth to be back at home tomorrow, starting off this final stretch against the Kettleers, I think is really important for them.
Well, I think it's important to have that first game at home against Cotuit out of the home and home that we have the next 2 days, because you can be on your home turf or your home field for that sake, but you get your own fans. You don't really have to travel at all. You get to the field at the time you want. You get your own BP, and everything's the way that it's been over the last couple of months. The only thing is, Commodores have been better on the road, at least during the game. But the way they prepare tomorrow has to be the same way that they prepared tonight offensively. I'm sure if we ask all the coaches, it was one of the better rounds of BP today, and that's pretty much the story in every game that this team explodes offensively. So if they can go and have that tomorrow at home against Cotuit, you take that momentum into the game. If you beat the Kettleers, you're right back in second place, and then you face them again at Lowell Park, a place where you put up double-digit runs the last time you played there earlier this week or last week. So it's just very familiar now that Commodores are with the next couple of teams that they play, only West Division teams from here on out. But to have this be a home game tomorrow night is massive. They just really need to execute on the field, and that will be the difference going forward the rest of the way.
So a big win tonight for the Commodores with a final tonight of 13-7, and it comes as the team enters its biggest stretch of the 2021 season. We'll send it now to our Ryan Prince, who makes his debut here on Closing the Door, as he's standing alongside Anthony Hall, who reached base several times in tonight's win.
So Tony, coming out here, getting on base 4 times tonight, a stolen base and a home run for you. What'd you see out there against Hyannis tonight?
Well, they're starting me off with a lot of off speed, a lot of sliders, because I was facing the 2 lefties in the beginning, and I kind of caught on to that towards my later ABs. They threw in a righty, and first pitch was a slider, and took it deep, obviously. And then my last at bat, it started me off with a lot of fastballs. I was kind of late on it. I kept fouling them back, but then it was 0-2, and I was kind of expecting a slider, and it was a slider, so I got a little base knock off of it.
Yeah. So you guys have 2 big games against Cotuit coming up.
Yep.
What's it going to take to put you guys ahead of them in the playoff race?
Nothing different, nothing special. Just keep playing how we have been. Just keep competing, having fun. Quality ABs, pitching's been awesome. So just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, and had a great game tonight. I know your dad's here in attendance. What does it mean to have him out here watch you play? I'm sure he's been a big influence on your career so far.
Yeah, it means a lot. He's a big part of my life, and I wouldn't be where I am without him, so it means a lot for him to come out here and watch.
Thanks, Anthony. The Commodores will be back tomorrow night at the Gov, 6 p.m. against Cotuit, and that's Closing the Door.